to go ahead and start with number 16 on this video, going through the Financial Math 2 final exam review. And for this, it says Lynn is a single mother with 2 children. She qualifies as head of household. Her total income before deductions was $38,700. Her total deductions were $11,650. Her employer withheld $3,150. What that means is she has so far paid $3,115 towards her federal taxes. How much will Lynn owe in taxes beyond what she has already paid? So the first thing that we need to do is find out what her adjustable tax income is. And to do that, we're going to take her income before deductions, and we are going to subtract out those deductions. And we end up at $27,050 is her adjustable tax income. So if we then come over to the chart here, we'll see that on the left side here it says at least. The next one says but less than. So if you come back down here to the second one, it's at least $27,050. Now it's important to note that she is head of household. You see here we have single, married filing jointly, married filing separately, and head of household. So if we go to the number where it says $27,050 and we come over to head of household, we'll see that her tax due is $3,489. So we're going to take that and subtract what she has already paid, and the difference will be what she owes in taxes. And the difference between the two is $339. All right, on the next one, it says Maria's employer of 23 years offers a pension plan that is the product meaning multiplication of the 3-year average of the most current salaries, the number of years of service, and a 2% multiplier. Her last 3 salaries were as follows. What is her annual pension benefit? So, first thing we're going to do is find the 3-year average. We've got $67,500 plus $68,000 plus $69,500. And as you know, to find the average of anything, you take them, add them together, and divide by how many there are. Because there are 3 years of salaries, we will divide that by 3. We're then going to multiply that by the 23 years of service that you see she has here, and a 2% multiplier. And we're going to write that as a decimal. When I multiply all of those values together, we find that her annual pension is going to be $31,433.33. All right, the next one, it says Dawn is verifying the accuracy of her paycheck. She earns $15 an hour and works 40 hours each week. Her biweekly deductions, biweekly means she gets paid 26 times a year or every other week. She has Social Security taxes taken out at 6.2%, Medicare at 1.45%, withholding of federal taxes at $79.25, state is $32.50, and insurance of $46.50. So we have to find her net pay. So first, let's find her gross pay. Her gross pay is $15 an hour for 40 hours a week. So we're looking here at $600 a week. However, she is paid again bi-weekly, so we're going to multiply that by 2 because each paycheck gross pay is going to be $1,200. And gross pay is her pay before deductions. Now we need to take a look at all of her deductions. So we know with Social Security, we're going to take $1,200 and multiply it by the 0.062. and then we're going to add the 1,200 times the 0.0145 for her Medicare. Next, we're going to take the $79.50. We're going to add the $32.50. I'm sorry, it was $79.25. Apologize for that. Plus the $32.50 for state, and then the $46.47 for her insurance. When we add all of those together, we get $250.02. So all of those added together again are the $250.02. We're going to subtract that from the $1,200. So gross pay is pay before deductions. The deductions for the biweekly period is $250.02, and her net paycheck will be $949.98. And that is your final answer. All right, next it says, what is the number of Social Security credits a worker needs to earn over his or her lifetime to collect Social Security benefits? Well, you can earn a maximum of 4 per year, and that's 1 each quarter. But the minimum that you need to collect Social Security is 40 credits. And so the final answer there is 40 credits. Steve and Elizabeth decide to become partners in a children's cooking school, and they need $80,000. They invest in a 4-to-6 ratio respectively. Now, first I want to address that word respectively. What that means is the order that they are listed in. So you can see here Steve was listed first. If Steve was listed first, it means that his ratio is the 4 because it is also listed first. Next, Elizabeth is listed second. And so she has the 6 portions in the ratio that is her part of the business. It says, what percentage of it is owned by Elizabeth? Well, she owns 6 parts. And if you look at it, if Steve owns 4 and Elizabeth owns 6, she owns 6 out of 10 parts. So 10 is all of them together. So if she has 6 out of 10 parts, we get 0.60, or she owns 60% of the business. All right. All right, for number 21, it says a new company manufactures tennis rackets. The fixed expenses are $71,490. The variable expenses are $15 per racket produced. What is the expense of producing 3,000 rackets? So, if you'll remember, the formula is expense equals, and we're going to put our variable expense price times the quantity plus the fixed expense price. Now in this, it gave us Q. Q here is asking for the cost at 3,000. So we're going to plug in 3,000, and we get E equals 15 times 3,000 plus the 71,490. And when we multiply that out, we find that the final cost is $116,490. Now we had one previous where it asked for the cost of 1. This actually is asking for the cost to produce all 3,000 rackets. So we do not do anything other than that. That is the end. All right, Chris is an accident reconstructionalist, arrives at an accident where there are 4 different skid marks of different lengths. It's a dirt road that has a drag factor of 0.65. He doesn't know the efficiency of the brake, so he assumes that they're at 90%. What is the minimum speed that the driver could have been going? So we've dealt with this before also. We had our formula as speed equals the square root of 30 times dfn. So D was my average skid distance. So this one is a tiny bit different than the first one because the skid distance, we have to add all 4 of them together and we have to divide by 4 to get the average skid distance. And when we do that, we end up with an average skid distance of 75 feet. We've got our drag factor of 0.65. and our brake efficiency of 0.9. So plugging that into the formula, speed equals the square root of 30 times 75 times 0.65 times 0.9. And when we plug all of that in, we end up at a speed of 36.3 miles per hour. All right, the next one, and I think this actually reads incorrectly on your paper, so make sure you correct it. It says the probability that a 43-year-old man will die before his 44th birthday, that's where the correction is about 0.32%. If an insurance company insures 40,000 43-year-old men, how many are expected to die before their 44th birthday? So the first thing we need to do, we're not used to a percent already having a decimal, but we do still need to move the decimal over twice. So it's actually 0.0032, and we'll multiply that by the 40,000 men that were insured, and we find that 128 will die before, or are expected to die before their 44th birthday. Tricia wants to place an advertisement in a local newspaper, and it looks like the piecewise function is as follows. She wants to place a 9-line ad. So remember, we always look at the when, and this right here says when x, or the number of lines, is greater than 4, so this is the equation we're going to use. We've got 22 plus 3.5, we plug in the 9, and we get 22 plus 3.5 times 5, and we end up with 22 plus 1750, or 3950. Insurance company uses the mortality rate table right below. Based on the table, what is the probability that a 63-year-old woman will live to see her 64th birthday? So when we look at this, this has already been converted, and so whatever the answer is, we're going to subtract it from 1, because 100% as a decimal is 1. So we end up at 0.90253 is the probability that they will see their next birthday. For the next question, we're going to go on to the next video. I'll see you there.